All right. Hi, good morning. This is Edna Castillo with Living Reality Dreams. And it's my pleasure, my privilege to be here this morning talking to you about indecision. We're covering this book, Power of Decision, and today we're talking about wrong decisions. This wrong decisions really resonated with me because um, we are always, and I think this is a common thing with all of us, we're always afraid to make the wrong decision. And especially when, there's big boulders of decisions to make. It was, it reminded me of the time when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, right? I had the decision of going Western medicine and doing all of the things Western. And then I also had people reaching out to see if I wanted some help in neuropathic or homeopathic ways of healing, and so it was a I didn't want to go through the chemotherapy. I didn't want to go through some of the strenuous, rigorous work that I knew was going to be involved. And I thought about, well, maybe this is a good way. So exploring the different options was such uh, energy. My energy was all over the place. The indecisiveness of figuring out what was the best thing for me. And then finally, I made the decision. Let me combine both. Let me do both. Let me experiment. It is my life, and the decision is that I am on the other side of it. I'm going to be well. That is the decision. It's not how or the choice of making or of how I'm going to walk. The decision is the end result. The end result for me is I am in good health, regardless of which option I choose. And I'm sure that you have also had situations in your life, or currently are undergoing situations in your life where where that's pressing, right? You're figuring out what is the best decision for me. So let me read about wrong decisions and how Raymond Charles Barker, and this is a classic bestseller. So there's if you I invite you to get your own copy and read little tidbits every day because it is very powerful. But in terms of wrong decisions, it says, any wrong decision you have ever made will become unimportant when your attention is shifted from it to a creative reason for living right here and now. The adult mind, proceeding with the business of living, is forced by necessity of thinking in the now and forget the mistakes of childhood. So no matter what decision you make, eventually it doesn't really matter, right? Because you would have left that behind. Because you know that you cannot go forward by thinking backward. Experience has taught you a great deal, and you use the wisdom of your experience to handle the affairs at hand. So no matter what decision you make, you in at one point there's always another decision to be made. So the experience of decision making is just making a decision and moving forward. New ideas are always as near as the next thought. The mind is inexhaustible, and you are an individualization of the mind. And when it talks about the mind, it basically talks about God, source, your infinite wisdom, right? That's what it's talking about. You are the adult person in the adult world, and your thinking must be that of an adult. Every person of your walking hours, every moment of your waking hours, you are making decisions, and that's definitely true. Most of these will be right, and a few of them will be wrong. Over a period of time, you may discover that the decisions which you thought were wrong were actually right. Often, the mist of material thinking beclouds our senses and values. Time clears our vision, and we see things as they really were. This is really interesting because I know that there's several examples in my life. One of them being when I was working in nonprofit, where I was asked to change the division of work that I was doing. I was serving the homeless, I was serving people, immigrants. I was in direct service of people, and I was enjoying it. And but I also was asked to take on HR duties because of my background in business and being a manager and just knowing about HR. And that was a decision of like, gosh, do I really want to do that? Do I really want to, number one, start making that decision um, of starting new in a new realm, in a new career, really, because I hadn't done the HR yet. And I thought, why not? It is one of those things that if it's being offered to me, then and me sitting with spirit, like it's being offered to me for a reason. There's lessons, there's opportunities in this. And then I ended up serving, loving it, serving the employees of the organization for 3 years. And I learned so much that it was such a enriching experience. So in the indecision of whether yes or no, there was a question of whether I would like it, whether I would be good at it. And there was no, but the interesting part is that I couldn't know that until I walked the decision and I really did what it needed to, what I needed to do. So in that times, sometimes when we think we make the wrong decision, we actually end up making the right decision. I have the example of a friend of mine who was offered two jobs, two different jobs. And, initially she went with the company that wasn't as well known. And she thought, gosh, I should have really gone with the other company. And I should have, and she kept replaying that in her head and replaying that in her head. And it turns out that at the end, she's still in that company, and the other company is now has laid off a whole bunch of people, and her life would not be as it is now. So her instinct of going with a company that wasn't as well known was the right one. Sometimes you just have to go with your instinct. So to move on to the continued text on the wrong decisions, this is: no power is sitting in judgment of one person. In the older system of thought, we eased our guilt load by believing that God would punish us later for our errors. So we had this way of thinking that there was the punishment of God for making mistakes, right? Now we see that this isn't so. All guilt is self-guilt. So it's the self-guilt of making the wrong decision. There are no records being kept except in your own conscious memory field. There is no deity to judge or punish. There's only life proceeding, and those who can minimize their mistake decisions proceed with life as life. So there's no bookkeeping as to wrongs and rights. There's only life. It's only moving forward. The larger your understanding of yourself as conscious, the freer you are of guilt. So the larger that you understand, the more settled you are with who you are, the less guilt that you will have, because you will come from a place of genuine, a place of really knowing yourself and not being controlled by guilt of making the wrong decision, or guilt of what other people may want, or whatever it is that may be the vehicle that brings guilt into your life. You place your attention on bringing to pass your next right action, right? We always want to do the right thing. We always want to make the right decision. Your optimism is undisturbed, and you have learned from your mistakes, but you are not stymied by them. This is the way of progressive order, the way of creative thinking. So in essence, what he's saying about wrong decisions is that there are no wrong decisions. You're here, we are all here on a journey to experiment with life and to live with life and to grow from life. So even if it is it is something that we may feel is a wrong decision, for the circumstances that occur, there are no wrong decisions, because it is what we learn that really matters. we can take the opportunity to see what was not good about it and then divert to a the different road. Um, Thomas Edison, when he was asked after inventing the light bulb, he tried 10,000 times. 10,000 times. Can you just imagine why, knowing that you can make a light bulb and you can have light because you know that gas no longer works or coal no longer is the way to go, and you know that there's another energy that is built in electricity, and you're building this light bulb and you know it's right, and you have to try 10,000 times, and he didn't give up, right? So when he was asked, how did it feel to fail 10,000 times? His answer was, that was not failure. That was feedback, right? It just taught me how to not do it. And every single time I tried different things. And so that to me, it stands out as to, no matter what it is that we are all facing, we can try to do it one way, and if it doesn't work, then the next way, we can pivot and learn from the mistake and move forward. So wrong decisions are not wrong decisions. Wrong decisions are just part of our learning, our curriculum in life. So I love, like I said, I love this book. It teaches so much. I invite you to get your own copy and read it little by little. And I also invite you to share these videos. It's my intent to serve as many people as possible. And we are all in this journey together, learning from each other. So by you sharing with other people the things that I have learned, the things that I'm putting forth for everyone, we're just enriching each other's lives. And also, comment, ask me questions. I plan on being next week on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m. each of those days live. So if you want to start a dialogue where we're actually talking, I would love that. I would totally love that. And for now, have a wonderful weekend. Happy Friday. And have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. I love you very much. Take care. Bye.